Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and more. Follow Elliot in the Morning everywhere social at EITM Online.
Bob Moses has a brand new record out, The Silence in Between. DC tonight, Richmond tomorrow night, Lawrence on April 15th. Please welcome Jimmy and Tom. Hey, boys.
Hey, man. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you very much for coming in. How are we?
We're great.
You had a little, Jimmy, I was kidding. You're allowed to be in here. It's fine. Well, last night was a little rare night off, I feel like.
Yeah, one of the few.
Did you take advantage? Did you go run around?
We got some sleep, to be honest. It's the first night I've slept since the tour began, to be honest. So.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because the night before that was Atlanta.
It was.
And I saw a bunch of clips of the show. It looked like it was nuts.
It was the shows at this tour have been our best so far. It's been amazing.
Is it nice to be back? And by the way, I thought you would have on your sweet Molson Canadian shirt that you picked up while you were there.
No, I was thinking about it, but instead I wore my Soundgarden Bad Motorfinger shirt.
Okay, all right,
that's a good second place. I feel like.
All right, that's fine. I'll take that. No, but I was going to say, how good is it just to be playing shows again?
So good, man. It's the crowds have been amazing. It's good to be out with our crew and our band again. It's just the best.
And also, and it's weird because if you look back, and obviously you have no idea how everything's going to go, but like when you look at the timing of everything shuts down, obviously. But hadn't you guys literally just gotten off the road, like just played a show a couple of nights beforehand and then everything locked down?
Yeah, it was our sort of plan to take a break to write the record in March of 2020. And our last show was March 7th. At a place called Okeechobee in Florida, and then 10, 12 days later, the world locked down.
Right. Yeah, because we went to Monday Night Raw on the 9th, and that's how we judge time. So, yeah, you have your show, we have ours, and that's fine. Now, did we go back to Canada when everything shut down?
No, we built a studio in L.A.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Was that, well, no, it wasn't intentional because you didn't know anything was shutting down.
No,
because, I mean, Canada obviously locked down much more strict than the U.S. did.
It was funny at the beginning of the pandemic, we were kind of feeling homesick. I had these thoughts of, I miss Canada. I wish we were back in Canada. And then that quickly faded.
Right.
And things started opening up a bit, and it was like the vaccine was really available in L.A., and like it was like, Canada was still shut down like way later, so we were like, thank goodness we're in LA.
Now, were you, so the plan was to go to LA?
Yeah.
Were you like everybody else though, where you were like, okay, well, this will be done in a couple of weeks and we'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just kind of get
100%.
out going. Yeah. Like people in the office here, they just put like a note up on the door. See, at the end of March, we're just out for a little bit.
It was like out for lunch. Bob Moses out for lunch. We'll be back, And then it was like, this is the longest lunch break we've ever taken.
That's what I was going to ask. You have never been shut down that long.
No.
Never.
Ever. Like since day one of Bob Moses, the band has never been shut down that long.
Yeah, I mean, and we really didn't shut down. It was just no gigs. Like we decided to like invent work for ourselves. So it was like we made the records, obviously, and then we did this crazy thing. You can see it on YouTube. We shot a video on a tower of us playing live. It was basically just like, okay, if no one's going to make us play gigs, then we're just going to invent our own shows. And so it was sort of, the safest thing that we could do, and we would, broadcast them online, and it was an amazing way to connect with fans and still do something.
But early on, thinking, okay, this will be done in a couple of weeks, and then, a couple of weeks turns into a month, and then 2 months, and then obviously time keeps going. At what point did you guys go, all right, now we have to, we got to write? Like, we said we were going to write, but now we have to really write.
I mean, I think that we were always really focused on the next batch of music. That was really, we were really geared up for getting into it. And I think that if anything, the fear about never, after a couple months and like the fear of it never ending, kind of settling in, that kind of brought up a lot of stuff that thank goodness we were writing, because writing for us is a really way of like processing the world. It's like catharsis. So
yeah, sure.
There was a lot of fear and stuff around, are we ever going to be able to tour again? Is this ever going to end? Are we going to, when are we going to run out of money from gigs and not be able to go back on the road? So that really worked its way into the music. And so it's almost like writing the album was our saving grace in that sense.
What is and listen, I know you guys now about 10 minutes. Who is the more, I have my guess, Is it Tom? Is it Jimmy? Who's the more buckle down? We got to get doing something, and who's the more? We'll get there.
Oh, I don't know. I think we both switch, which is like we're kind of like yin and yang. Like when Tom's panicking, I'm the calm guy, and when I'm panicking, he's the calm guy.
Okay.
And that's why we work so well. The things that freak us both out are very different, and so like we're like both each other's greatest cheerleader.
I got
when
you.
The other one's down, so it's a good, it's a good trade-off.
And was there a Bob Moses bubble? I mean, clearly it wasn't just the two of you stuck in this house.
Yeah, it was with our partners and then the two of us. So
so you guys were pretty locked down.
We were pretty locked down. I mean, at first at least, and we'd venture out eventually and do some outdoor stuff. But I mean, to be honest, the whole time feels like I can't tell if it was 2 years or 2 months. It feels like this whole weird.
I am the only one that will preach. Time flew by.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, granted, we never stopped coming into the radio station. We came in every day and kind of did our thing. Even when every other radio station was locking everybody out.
That's awesome.
They just, I guess, never got to us, or they were hoping we'd get sick, one of the two.
Yeah.
But it was, but for whatever reason, I could sit back and go, God, 2 years is a long time. I feel like it just flew by, though. In some weird way, I just feel like the whole thing flew by. Did you ever go through the insecurity, though, of like, I hope they don't forget about us?
Oh,
totally.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing is like as soon as you start having success as a musician, everything just sort of feels like, oh, this could all end tomorrow. Some people don't think like that, but like it's kind of almost smart too because you realize you work really hard to get lucky, and then there's just certain things that are out of your control, and so we just always go in and try and write the best music we can and hope people like it, but you never know what the future holds.
Yeah, but didn't you feel like you have already gained enough success where, and listen, I get that probably lives in the back of your head. And I would imagine early days of Bob Moses, you walk into a room and go like, well, I hope there's some people here. And then it turns into, I hope it's packed or half packed, and then it just keeps going. But I mean, yes, it's a 2-year break, but it's not like every other band in the world was running around and everybody was buying tickets to see other bands. And then you were out of mind. There was nobody running around.
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything, it was a nice sign for us that like, the world can stop for 2 minutes and we can continue to do things that will connect with people online, and then we can come back. We're bigger than ever after the pandemic. The pandemic, we grew during that time because we put out an EP right at the beginning of it, and then we kind of were fairly active, not super active, but active enough online, and we did the Falling Into Focus live thing, and we just tried to find the balance between like shutting off entirely from the outside world, even though it was just online, felt wrong to us. So, it was nice to see that like we actually connected with some new people during that time, not having to be always out on the road,
Right. And I would guess kind of in line with that, it forced you to do stuff that I don't know whether it's in or out of your comfort zone, but just stuff that you would never do.
100%.
And just be like, okay, it's our downtime or whatever it is, but here's a different way to do business, and here we go. It kind of forces you to do that as opposed to just, well, we'll talk about it and we'll see. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. There was no choice if you wanted to get stuff out.
100%. Yeah.
Now, back up for a second. So you guys are both from Vancouver.
We are.
Both grew up in the same area. Both went to the same high school. Had one class together?
We had art class together like the last couple of years of high school.
But not friends.
No, not like super good buddies like we are now.
And then don't get together until years and years later.
Where we ran
Few
into
years
each
later,
other.
yeah.
In Brooklyn in a parking lot.
It's weird. Weird how the world works, man.
Now, did you intend to meet in the parking lot, or were you literally schlepping groceries to a car?
We each had studio spaces in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Actually, Gowanus. Right next to this thing called a Super Fun.
Gowanus says thank you.
Yeah. And so we ran into each other in a Lowe's parking lot. We had studios on either side of it, and it's like that's where you kind of went if you needed something for your studio. And so we ran into each other there. We're like, what are you doing here? Had dinner, booked a studio session, and we've been Bob Moses ever since.
Wait, so neither of you knew the other one was moving to
No.
New York, and you
No.
literally at a Lowe's parking lot, you were
Yeah.
like, "Holy crap, Tom, good to see you."
Yeah, basically. we never like we'd lost complete touch after high school.
But now, but Tom was you were kind of a deal in high school, though, right?
Definitely. He won't admit it, but he was.
No,
Thank you,
not
Jim.
really. Not
Tom,
really.
quiet. No, but like you were on your way to like development deals, like you
Yeah.
were a thing,
I was getting some traction going. Yeah.
right? And Jimmy, You knew that Tom was a thing.
I definitely knew that Tom was a thing. I was making my trance records. I was happy, pointing my finger in the air, and then we ran into each other in the parking lot, and I was like, this is gonna be great. I gotta not mess this up.
But I want to go back to high school for a second. So what were you? And I mean, you were in bands in high school. I mean, obviously you guys were both doing music, and not together. And you were. I mean, you'd kind of put out some music, and there was a development deal, and people were interested in you. Mm-hmm. And I think I even saw Jimmy. You were like, oh yeah, everybody knew like Tom was doing stuff.
Totally.
And that was all good. Was music always part of? Like, I know Jimmy, and I'll get there and say it. Music is the family business.
100%.
Was music the family business in your house?
It was not the family business, but I think that if both of my parents could have flipped the magic wand, it would have been. My dad, always sang. He used to play guitar at bars in college and stuff. And my mom's a great piano player.
Right.
So there was tons of music in my house, and I don't really remember a day where I wasn't like, I'm going to be a musician.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you always knew that you were going to go down that road?
Yeah, I always really wanted to, and a lot of my youthful anxiety came from the knowledge that, my mom was a lawyer, my dad was a professor, everybody in my stepmom's a doctor, everybody's like got a serious real job, and my anxiety came from knowing that I really, really wanted nothing more than to be a musician, but how the hell was I going to do it in this family of professionals, have a legitimate career,
And then kind of flip the script, Jimmy. Your dad is a very, very accomplished songwriter.
Yes.
With some very
Summer '69, Cuts Like a Knife. He wrote Half a Permanent Vacation with Aerosmith. He's done a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, your dad wrote and wrote some serious songs. Can you answer a question? Diane just brought this up the other day. There was an interview with Bryan Adams with the song Summer of '69. Where was that song written just so that they would say 69 over and over and over again?
No, I mean, I've asked him that at the same time, and it was the summer of '69 was obviously the summer of love, and my dad was a teenager then, and he's the biggest Beatles fan I know. And so for him, that the hippie movement and the summer of '69, and I think they were trying to kind of do a Springsteen thing, talking about these very reminiscent lyrics, and that just was the chorus that they had. And people joke all the time about it's about a sex position or something, and
okay, so nothing to do with that. I told you, Diane, please. And then but your mom was also in a rock band.
Yeah, she was in a French Canadian progressive rock band called Cano that have some amazing songs. And I grew up in a very musical family, and it was pretty funny. Getting into dance music was my parents were that's not music.
Right.
Because it was really hard to rebel as a teenager. I remember I bought the first Slipknot CD. And my dad had a connection at Roadrunner Records, and he was like, "You want to go meet the band?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I realized my dad likes Slipknot. This is not, this is not good. And then I remember I'd play dance music, and he'd be like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Okay, finally, something to call my own."
So that was kind of your rebellion is kind of what pushed you in towards that part of the world, but you never let go of the rock side of it either.
No, I love rock and roll. I love it so much, and and it was such a big part of this project is to have that rock influence with sort of the dance thing. It's kind of the two things that I love, one being more my own and one being something I grew up in, living harmoniously. So it's kind of amazing.
Now, does your dad ever weigh in on if you guys will you send him a song? Or go hey, what do you think? Will he ever, does he turn into dad there and go, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard? Or does he turn it in and go, it's no summer 69, but
If I turn it in and he says, this is amazing, I know it's probably not that good. If he has an opinion, I'm like, oh, there's the songwriter coming out.
Right.
Tearing Me Up, our first sort of big single that we had. He thought that we should have named it something else and that the chorus is actually what we think is the bridge. And so he started going this is really great, but have you thought about it like this or thought about it like that? And any song that sort of has, for lack of a better phrase, hit or single potential,
right?
He's always had have you ever thought about it like this? Have you ever thought about it like that? Just coming at it at all the angles. And that's when I kind of know oh, we're onto something here.
I'll just add in though, the only suggestion he ever made about a major song change was on Tearing Me Up, and we didn't take it. And so we kept it the way it was.
Who's smart now?
Yeah.
Who's smart now? Who's smart now, old man? All right, so fast. Oh, the other thing I wanted to ask is I was reading about you guys in Vancouver and going around and playing shows, but you guys were like the fake ID kings of running around Vancouver and playing shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we would both
That's
show up to art.
awesome.
We'd both show up to art class like hungover, being like, "Yeah, I see you, man."
One of the saddest days of my life is like I used to play at a club and there was a casino next door and the club would close and the only place to get food was a casino, and I would go over there with my fake ID and just to get a piece of pizza. I wouldn't gamble or anything. And I guess I got too comfortable and I wore my like graduation jacket for high school to the casino, and the guy that used to let me in all the time was like, we got a code security, come to the front desk, and all of a sudden 4 big dudes show up. And I was like, look, just give me back the ID. I need the DJ tomorrow night. I just want a piece of pizza. And it's like snowing outside, and they're like, get out of here.
So years go by. I believe, Tom, you actually go to Berkeley.
Yeah, I went there for a year. Yeah.
Right. And like most people drop out of Berkeley after a year because why would you need that?
Yeah.
And then you both end up in Gowanus, let's give them credit, in the parking lot. At that point, was it like what were both of you doing separately? I know you both had different studios and doing stuff, but what were you both doing where you were able to go, okay, Tom's done with his people, Jimmy's done with his people, we're going to do our own thing?
We were like, I was just kind of trying to find a way to stay in New York after I was no longer a student at Berkeley.
The parents cut you off at that point?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I bet they
also
did.
like the visa stuff, you know.
Oh,
So
sure.
like I was like piggybacking off whatever little success I had around high school and those development deals to make myself seem more important than I was, so I could stay in the country and try and figure it out.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, I was playing with some guys in like different bars and stuff, and I was but I wasn't happy. I was a bit lost creatively, and I knew I wanted to like do something that was way more sound heavy and like find a way to like find my own sound, you know?
Sure.
And so when I met up with Jimmy, I was kind of like actually just about to maybe pull the ripcord and move back to Vancouver and like try and figure out my life, you know, and like regroup. And I was, I think I was going to leave like 2 weeks later. And I think we had our first studio session on a Tuesday.
Right.
And by Friday we were sitting at a bar and I was like, okay, I have to change all my plans, you know, and move back in with you and like figure this out.
And what were you doing?
I was like, I guess the word they call it is like ghost producing. I was like making records for other people, like dance tracks, and not putting my name on them, and sort of just doing like cutting my teeth, sort of behind the scenes, getting good at production chops, and you know, I was like sort of I remember I had a moment. I was like, I wonder what Tom's up to, because I really wanted to write songs, and I'm not a very good singer, but I just wanted to like take this cool production sound that I sort of stumbled on in Brooklyn, and these raves that we were going to, and sort of like combine that with someone. And when I met Tom, it just like we both combined with where we were at currently, and then like together we both got into the Brooklyn rave scene, and it really took off from there.
Is that scene just nuts, or was that scene
it was
just
nuts.
nuts?
Yeah, it was crazy.
And,
Was it really?
Yeah.
Is it like everything you read about
Yeah.
and worse?
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's like we both came from punk bands, and so like, you know, you read about the Ramones and they had a scene, and you read about all these scenes, and you think about, oh man, it'd be so cool to experience that, and like we were just thrown into this scene, and it was like a full thing that was happening.
So, and like in my mind, it's some like trash warehouse in Brooklyn somewhere, or in Queens, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and it is still going.
Literally.
And yeah, and I mean, it is just mayhem and nuts. Like everybody's having a great time, but it is just mayhem.
5:30, that's when people are just arriving.
Yeah, like our first few sets that we ever played, we would go to bed and wake up and like go and start playing at like 6 a.m.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then like that was when the party like was getting good, you know?
Now, at this point, are you shocked? I have not been to a 6 a.m. rave.
You're here, right?
That I have not done. All right, let me do this. I should mention again, Bob Moses is with us. The Silence in Between. The record's great, by the way.
Thank you.
The record is great. That's out and available now. 9:30 Club tonight. The National in Richmond tomorrow. They will be in Lawrence on April 15th. Quick break. More with the Jimmy and Tom next.
Elliot in the Morning.
It's Elliot in the Morning. Jimmy and Tom are with us from Bob Moses. The Silence in Between is out and available now. DC tonight, Richmond tomorrow night, Lawrence on April the 15th. All right, before we get into more, we're going to play some music. What are we playing? What are we doing?
We're going to do Love Brand New.
Let's do Love Brand New. Here we go.
Girl, this is our town. Backseat with the top down. Got the radio up loud. We're running. We'll drive from the west side on back to the east side. No thrill that we can't find. It's coming. 'Cause we were halfway through. Making love brand new. And if the end comes soon, I'll be here with you. Making love brand new. Love brand new. Run through all the red lights, still up with the sunrise. White lines in the hillside keep coming. Your light never burns out. I don't wanna come down. Can't lose what we just found for nothing. 'Cause we were halfway through. Making love brand new. And if the end comes soon, I'll be here with you. Making love brand new. Love brand new. We were halfway through. Making love brand new. And if the end comes soon, I'll be here with you. 'Cause we were halfway through. Making love brand new. And if the end comes soon, I'll be here with you. Making love brand new. Love brand new.
Bob Moses is with us. Can I ask you two questions about the song?
Of course.
That and technically the video for the song. Number one, whose car?
We don't know.
We don't know, but I've been asking that question since we filmed it.
Dude, how beautiful is that car?
So cool.
So nice.
Oh my God, that car is unbelievable. Number two, well, if you don't know whose car it is, you definitely don't know who the old couple is.
No.
They are the sweetest, cutest looking people, though.
Right?
The old couple in there. So those are just actors and
Yeah,
stuff that
we
are
feel
brought.
bad for them, though, because we were in that warehouse, too.
Right.
And it was cold.
Oh,
we
really?
filmed it
It was
in Montreal in November.
Yeah.
Montreal in November is no joke.
Okay, but better than January.
That's true.
better than January.
Not much, but a little.
But all I could think of was, and I didn't know if it was like, hey, it's some family member or something. But all I could think of is, and it's not like they do it in 3 minutes and it's over and the song's done. I just felt like, oh, this poor old couple, they have been all day just listening over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Great song, though. The song
you.
is great. I want to ask you about another song on the record, though, and not that you care that it's my favorite song on the record. Time and Time Again. Great song. Is it? And listen to it and listen to it a couple of times. And then I was reading through something where it started talking about the songs Was that song written for a friend, unfortunately, who had passed?
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
The story, it was written in memory of our friend George Mueller, who is involved with this amazing, I guess you could call them artistic movement called Robot Heart, which happens at Burning Man. They're like a large sound camp that we were fortunate enough to play in 2013 and was a huge catalyst for our career.
Right.
And he's been a big supporter of us from the very beginning, was a lovely guy. And we've partied with him all over the world and have had so much fun. And he gave us the advice once that he goes, Jimmy and Tom, everybody needs a sunrise. Everywhere in the world experiences a sunrise and a sunset. You got to write a sunrise song and a sunset song on one of your records. And so the idea, the lyric in the song of hands up for another sunrise with you by my side is very much like a testament to George. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really nice. That's really, really nice. And the song is great. Like I said, I love the song. And then I was reading the story about it being for him. I was like, wow, that's really, really nice. Now, similar to doing the raves, would I like Burning Man?
Yes.
Is Burning Man also nuts?
You would love Burning Man.
You got to start the Elliot in the Morning on Burning Man, just
bring the show to Burning Man.
Oh, you know where I really want to go with you guys? Like, I know that you guys have like a whole touring, like people that like go on the road with you and kind of get you through the tour. I decided if I was going to do that with you, I want to go to Europe with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Because,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I bet. Like, and not like Glastonbury, like festivals. Like, I want to go to like some club in Berlin. And like I want to go to the show, but I also feel like I want to go to like a DJ set after the show.
Yeah. That's what you do. That's where the real fun happens. Like we go to places like we've been to Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria. We've been to places. We went to Tbilisi, Georgia. There's places where we've toured that we weren't even aware were things prior to touring, and like the fun you can have, and the crowds are amazing, and the food is amazing. We feel so lucky to have like traveled and had success in so many countries, but like Europe is amazing.
Is it one of the and please take this as the compliment that it's been, is that I feel like for Bob Moses, it's very hard to pigeonhole you guys, which I think is great. I think that's awesome. Where you could go, yeah, it's an alternative band, it's a rock band, but it's also kind of like this sound and DJ movement and stuff where you can kind of drop into whether it's Burning Man or whether it's like a traditional Lollapalooza or a Coachella. I think that's awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a real blessing. I mean, we started in this very electronic like scene, which is actually a worldwide scene.
Sure.
You know? And it's been big in Europe forever, but it kind of was like the underground of the whole huge EDM movement in America.
Right.
And because we've sort of always had that rock influence, we sort of pushed that side of ourselves as we developed. But we were fortunate to be able to get touring pretty quickly. Like after Jimmy mentioned, we played Burning Man in 2013, and that was in the beginning of September, and that October was the first month that we had more gigs than we could play, and we were every weekend out doing more like DJ style touring, you know, and that was able to get us to a lot of these crazy places that we wouldn't have maybe been able to go with a band, that were able to like sort of start the fan base, so to speak. And then as we built it and you know, kept going back, we could bring the band and sort of expand the show a bit more and offer a bit more. But it's a real blessing to be able to do both.
And I would imagine that both of them are very different, so I don't know if there is one, but is there any part that's more fun, whether it is like tonight at the 930 Club or tomorrow at the National or just doing the tour where you're going around and you're doing your shows? Is that more fun, or is something like just walking out on stage, whether it's at a festival or at Burning Man, and then that all's taking place, like completely different scenarios?
We're so happy to have them both, and I think they're both like, you know, a lot of rock guys want to do the DJ thing, and a lot of DJs want to do the rock thing, and we get to do both. And I think it's like the kind of thing, like we bring a guitar into the DJ booth and a mic, and so like when we were starting out, people were like, "That's insane! Like, what do you do?" You know, yeah. And now it's like, you know, we come from band backgrounds. So like to us, the dream of like getting on a bus, touring the country, going from everywhere from Tucson to Richmond to New York, like that was the dream when we were kids. And we get to do that. And it's like tonight will be amazing at 9:30. But then getting to go to Berlin and playing a nightclub there, like Watergate or something with crazy lights, and you're playing at 3:00 in the morning, that is also just as much fun. But it's different. And we're just lucky we get to do both.
I got to go to Berlin at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You do.
That's all I want to do now. Hey, but can I ask you this, and not to be a downer, but does it cross your mind and go like, we've been through lockdown once and Europe's kind of spiking again. Do you guys have those plans written into place? I mean, you don't know if and when, and obviously, fingers crossed, nobody wants to shut down again. But does that kind of, as you start planning stuff, does that creep into your head at all?
Definitely. I mean, like, I think we're both sort of blindly hoping for the best, you know?
Right.
Like,
I think we all are. I think at this point, it's
Yeah.
just, you know what, move the mask up over your eyes. Let's be blind and let's just go.
Totally.
And then at some point, somebody will blow a whistle, maybe.
Yeah.
But if not, then let's just keep going.
Yeah,
But I feel
totally.
like that part would be hard. Like, it's one thing if you were doing just the U.S. or just Canada, but now you got international dates. Or maybe it's just the same thing. Who the hell knows?
I think we're just kind of like forging ahead and hoping for the best, you know, and we'll adjust when we need to, if we need to, and hopefully we don't, you know?
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, will the streak stay alive of being nominated for a Juno Award?
We'll see. Who knows?
I don't know. What are we now? Three or four time
We're
Juno
four-
Award losers?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
four-time Juno
not
Award
losers, nominated. We've been nominated. No, but that's back in Canada, that's a huge
No,
thing.
it's a huge honor. I'm just joking.
I mean, I know we've won Grammys, but that's also. But I'm from Canada and stuff. That's a big deal.
It's totally cool. It's super awesome and very humbling to be nominated, and you know, it's like I think those institutions are awesome, and it's nice to be kind of embraced by the Canadian music scene.
And I will tell you, you know what was fun to go watch was when you guys presented at the Juno Awards for the fan vote award.
Yeah.
I was like, this video is awesome.
Yeah. It's us giving Shawn Mendes an award.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just the most stoked Canadian ever. I'm like reading the thing, like, and the winner is like Shawn Mendes. I didn't say an A. I should have, but like, I just sound stoked Canadian, you know? And because we were hanging backstage with these bands that we grew up listening to, like Billy Talent, are an amazing Canadian band, Sam Roberts. Like, we were right before that was happening. It was like, you know, us meeting our childhood idols.
Right.
And then you just go on stage and it's like, you just can't not be Canadian, you know? At least me.
Last night after the 2 nights ago in Atlanta after the show, somebody stopped our bass player up by the bus and was like, "Hey, are you guys from Canada?" And he's from Long Island. He was like, "Well, the Jimmy and Tom are." And he's like, "Yeah, that guy Jimmy's like the most Canadian sounding dude I've ever met, I've ever seen."
Yeah. You can take the kid out of Canada, but
And then the last thing that I wanted to ask you guys before we wrap up, Jimmy, you just posted a video a couple of weeks ago. Like it goes back a little bit, but not all the way back. But I guess it was right as the tour was getting ready to start. And you posted a video that was essentially saying like, all right, tour's getting ready to get underway. Time for tour stories. And you told a really sweet story about being at Bottle Rock, a festival in Northern California outside of San Francisco. And you told a really sweet story about, and again, this is before anybody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But you told a really sweet story. You guys were there, and also Foo Fighters were there. And you like snuck into their dressing room?
no, we found out the news about Taylor like a few nights ago, and everyone did right before we walked on stage in Houston, and we were just gutted. Taylor was there the first show that our drummer Joe played with us.
Oh, really?
And he was side stage practicing along and like, you know, complimented Joe on his playing, and they hit it off that night. And fast forward a couple years, we're playing at Bottle Rock, and we were playing the main festival, and the Foo Fighters are the headliner. And we didn't know this, but we got booked to play this thing called, I think it's called the Blue Note. It's like in Napa, it's a blues club. And so we were playing a small 200 cap after party. The Foo Fighters were also playing. And so this is a small venue. And so we were sharing a dressing room basically, and we didn't know that was going to happen. So we're hanging out with them, and like they went.
Wait, so both of you guys are playing a 200-person venue?
We actually, believe it or not, they were playing a 200-person venue downstairs, and we were playing like a 600-person venue upstairs.
You know what? You're damn right.
But
Damn right.
It was the
You're
first
damn
time.
right you are.
It was the first time they had played in like several years.
Right.
And so they played. Their show was earlier than ours, and we went.
That's, you know why? Because we call them the opening act. That's how it works, Tom. That's
Yeah,
how
I
it
wish.
works.
Anyways, they were super awesome. We went down and we got to see them in front of 175 people play, and they were so tight, it was insane.
Oh, yeah.
How like you're like, oh, that's why they're one of the best rock bands in the world. When they're in front of 75 people and they're just like it's like they almost like were in one body, like how they could just hit cues, like after like this long feedback section, just like Dave just like moves his head and they all were just like in. I was like, oh man, these guys are good.
I just have this memory of like Dave on stage in front of this small crowd, probably like family and friends, and he just goes, does anyone in this room not like AC/DC? And some dude, this is like a small room, puts up his hand, and Dave just goes, this is why you're wrong. And then just 1, 2, 3, just kick into Let It Rock by AC/DC. And it was like, this is amazing. Like, they're just the best. And yeah, it was like, obviously we got to hang out with them after, and they're like, I'm sure you've met them. They're like the coolest dudes.
Yeah, very much so.
They're just how you would imagine. And we're really, really sorry for what's happened to them.
It's horrible.
And our heart goes out to them.
It's horrible. But the part in the video that I like is that, so like you said, now it makes more sense that they're there opening for you guys and you're sharing a dressing room, but like the manager of the club came in and was talking to Foo Fighters, like, hey, is everything good? Is everything fine? And you answer like, yeah, I'm part of the band.
Yeah.
I'll just answer.
I just like, I was, obviously in there doing a shot with Dave, and like that's not an everyday occurrence. So I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous. I was definitely nervous. We're doing a shot. The guy comes in. That's the owner of the venue. Hey, thank you guys so much for being here. And Dave hands him a shot, and I just immediately go, oh, yeah, no problem. We're glad to be here, And I could see Dave look at me and the owner look at me, and they both kind of do this. He wasn't talking about you. And I'm, and it was a great little moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And then the last thing I want to end on an up note, the other thing that I saw online, were you guys just on vacation, or were you playing in Tulum?
We were playing there. Our friends Rufus, they made this little festival.
God damn.
And it was
you guys have the greatest life. No, you really do. You have the greatest life.
It was this little festival they made, and it was the first weekend sold out so quick that they put on a second weekend, and so we were able to stay the week between.
Because
play both
I
weekends.
feel like, and I don't know what the timeline is when you were in Tulum, but I feel like it was the place when everything started to feel open again, and everybody was like, F it, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Everybody went to Tulum.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like right now spring break's going on, and so like all the pictures out of Florida, you're like, God, I would kill to be there. That was Tulum, I'm assuming, when you guys were there for the festival.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually there for the festival recently, but we've played in Tulum a couple times during the pandemic, and I mean, it's crazy. We first went to Tulum in 2012 before we could even really like get arrested, and it's crazy how much it's blown up. Like I think because it was one of the places that was a bit more open-minded during the pandemic,
right?
It really got popular, and now it's just like crazy.
Yeah,
huge.
no,
But it's,
you know
it's
what?
amazing though. It's
I'm
amazing.
Berlin at 3 a.m. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
Anytime, let us know.
Oh, careful what you ask for. Be careful.